The giant space station called Apex Concord floated in perfect silence above a dead star. This place was the heart of the Galactic Assembly. For 2 million years, the oldest species in the galaxy had met here to make rules, share power, and keep order. The station was huge, bigger than most planets, with halls that could hold thousands of different alien kinds at once. Crystal beings from the Vorath homeworld, insect swarms from the Krell hives, tall armored warriors from the Dominion, and hundreds of other races all had seats in the main chamber. Today the chamber was full. Bright lights shone on rows of seats that rose like stairs around a central platform. Every seat had a translation field, so every creature could understand the words spoken. Holograms floated above desks, showing maps, trade numbers, and law texts. The air smelled of different atmospheres mixed together. Sharp ozone from one species, sweet flower scent from another, metal and oil from machines. In the human section, near the back wall, sat only 12 people. They wore simple dark blue uniforms with small silver pins shaped like Earth. Ambassador Elena Voss led them. She was 48 years old, short, with straight black hair tied in a tight knot. Her face looked calm, almost bored. She had sat in this same seat for almost 80 years. Every year the same thing happened. The older races spoke down to humans like teachers talking to slow children. Humans were called late arrivals, aggressive newcomers, too emotional, not ready for real responsibility. Today the main topic was a new tax. The elders called it the Stability Contribution Fee. In simple words, it meant younger species had to pay more credits to the assembly. The biggest part of the bill fell on human colonies because humans had spread fast and built many new worlds in the last 200 years. The Vorath elder speaking now was a tall crystal creature named Thalvren. His body sparkled like broken glass under the lights. When he talked, his voice came out deep and slow, like stones rolling down a mountain. The younger races benefit most from the peace we have kept, Thalvren said. They use our gates, our maps, our protection. It is only fair they give back more. Many delegates nodded or clicked approval mandibles. A Krell representative, a buzzing cloud of tiny flying insects held together by electric fields, spoke next. The swarm formed the rough shape of a larger bughead, so others could see where the voice came from. Humans grow too fast, the Krell said. Their numbers double in decades. They claim empty systems without asking. They build weapons we do not need. A higher fee will teach patience. More nodding. Some laughter. Sharp, dry sounds from species that did not laugh often. Elena Voss waited until the speakers finished. Then she stood. The chamber's attention moved to her slowly, like a heavy door opening. She touched the control on her desk. A small hologram appeared above her, charts and numbers in clear blue. With respect, she began, the data does not support your claim. Human colonies make up only 7% of total galactic population. We use only 9% of shared warp gates. Our military spending is lower per person than the Dominion or the Krell. This tax hits us hardest while changing almost nothing for the older powers. We ask the Assembly to vote again with correct numbers. She stopped talking. For a moment the chamber was quiet. Then laughter started. It began with a few Vorath elders, high ringing sounds like glass breaking. Then the Krell swarm buzzed in amusement, making their lights flash in patterns that meant mockery. Dominion warriors slapped armored fists on their desks in slow rhythm. Even some smaller species joined in. A squid-like creature from the outer veil waved all 10 arms in what passed for clapping. Thalvren raised one crystal hand. A new hologram appeared above the center platform. It showed a human child, maybe 3 years old, sitting on the floor and crying because a toy was taken away. The child's face was red, mouth wide open. Under the image, bright letters read in every language, Human Diplomacy. More laughter. Louder now. Elena did not move. Her face stayed calm. She looked straight at Thalvren. When the sound died down a little, she spoke again. Her voice was quiet, but clear. Every translation field carried it perfectly. The United Terran Concord has attended this assembly for 82 years. We have followed every rule. We have asked only for equal voice. You have answered with jokes and higher taxes. So I will say this once. She touched her datapad. A single file appeared in the public archive of the assembly. The title was simple. Notice of Withdrawal, effective immediately. The United Terran Concord no longer recognizes the authority of this body, Elena said. Silence for 2 heartbeats. Then the laughter came back, louder, harder, meaner. Some delegates stood up to clap slowly. A Dominion warrior shouted, "Bravo! Wonderful theater!" A small furry species rolled on the floor, holding their stomachs. Security drones floated closer, small silver balls with blue lights. They hovered near the human seats, but did not touch anyone. Elena looked at her team. 11 other humans stood up at the same moment. They were engineers, scientists, linguists, soldiers in plain clothes. None of them looked angry. They simply walked toward the exit doors. Thalvren spoke again, still amused. Ambassador Voss, please sit. We can discuss your feelings after the vote. Elena did not turn. She kept walking. The doors opened for her. Her people followed. The drones watched, but did not stop them. In the corridor outside, Elena spoke softly to her second-in-command, Captain Marcus Reyes. Ship status? Ready, he answered. Courier is fueled. Jump coordinates locked. Good. No signals until we clear the outer shell. They walked fast, but not running. No one chased them. No alarms sounded. The assembly thought it was just another human tantrum. They had seen many before. Humans always came back. Humans always asked to stay. Inside the chamber, the vote continued. The stability tax passed by a huge margin. Thalvren closed the session with polite words about unity and shared future. The Human Delegation's ship, a small fast courier named Dawn Runner, left Apex Concord at normal speed. It moved toward the Orion Arm, like any other diplomatic vessel going home. Traffic control gave it clearance without question. 73 minutes later, the last human signal from the station went quiet. The embassy lights on the lower levels dimmed. Doors locked. Inside sensors showed empty rooms. No one noticed right away. The assembly moved to the next topic, trade routes near the core. Everyone was happy. The troublemakers had left quietly. Order was kept. Outside in the dark between stars, the Dawn Runner increased speed. Not much, just enough. Inside the small bridge, Elena Voss sat in the command chair. She looked at the forward screen. The dead star of Apex Concord shrank behind them. Send the packet, she said. A single encrypted burst went out. Tight beam, impossible to trace. It carried final orders to every human ship, station, colony, and factory in the galaxy. The orders were short. Begin Phase 0. No reply came back. None was needed. Far across the spiral arms, in deep space, thousands of human ships received the message at the same moment. Colony arcs turned silently. Freighters dropped cargo pods. Warships powered down active sensors. Exploration vessels shut off navigation beacons. One by one, like candles being blown out, human lights began to disappear from the galactic map. The assembly did not see it yet. For the next 3 days, everything looked normal. Ships moved through the warp gates. Trade stations stayed busy. Diplomatic messages flew back and forth like always. On dozens of worlds, human ambassadors went to dinners, smiled, shook hands, or whatever their hosts used for hands, and talked about weather, food, and small agreements. No one saw anything strange. No alarms rang. No fleets gathered. Then the first small thing happened. At 0417 Standard Galactic Time on the third day, every warp gate that carried a human registration code went dark. Not broken, not attacked. Just off. The blue quantum lights that showed the gates were active simply vanished. Engineers on nearby stations sent urgent queries. No answer came back. The gates did not explode or collapse. They just stopped talking to the network. It was like someone flipped a switch and walked away. The assembly sent repair drones to the nearest affected gate, a busy one near the core trade hub called Nexus Prime. The drones arrived in 20 minutes. Their cameras showed the gate floating quietly. No damage. No scorch marks. The control core was cold. Zero power. Inside the core, where the quantum entanglement beacon should have been pulsing, there was nothing. The beacon module was gone. Not destroyed. Removed cleanly, like a surgeon took it out with perfect care. More reports came in fast. Every human-registered gate in the core worlds, 17 in total, had the same thing happen at the exact same second. No warning, no signal, just silence. The news reached the lower committees first. A young analyst from the smaller species called the Lyran, a soft-bodied creature with many eyes, looked at the data and felt cold. She sent an urgent memo to her supervisor. Human warp infrastructure offline across 70 sectors. No distress calls, no debris. Recommend immediate high-level review. Her supervisor read it, frowned, and sent it higher. By the time it reached the main intelligence office, more strange things were happening. Human corporations that owned shared refueling stations started transferring ownership. One minute the stations belonged to TerraFuel Limited. The next minute the name changed to empty shell companies. Trusts with no listed owners, no offices, no contact. When investigators tried to trace the new owners, the digital trails ended in blank walls. The companies existed only on paper, and even the paper was starting to fade from the public records. Antimatter refineries that humans had built for joint use did the same. Ownership shifted to ghost entities. Then the refineries themselves began to shut down. Not explode, not break, just power levels dropped to zero over minutes. Safety systems locked everything in place. When boarding teams forced the doors, they found the stations empty of people. Tools were neatly stored. Coffee cups sat cold on tables. But every human personal item was gone. Uniforms, data pads, even family photos from desks. Only the machines remained, sleeping. The biggest shock came from Apex Concord itself. The human embassy occupied 3 full levels near the middle ring. For 80 years it had been busy, lights on 24 hours, people coming and going, music sometimes leaking into the corridors. Then, at exactly the same moment the warp gates went dark, the embassy lights dimmed. Not flickered. Dimmed smoothly, like someone turned the dial down to nothing. Security teams from the assembly went to check. The outer doors were sealed. No response to hails. They cut through with plasma torches. Inside they found perfect emptiness. Furniture gone. Art removed from walls. Carpets rolled up and taken. Even the dust that always collects in corners was missing, as if someone had vacuumed the air itself. The only thing left was a small metal plaque screwed to the wall in the main reception room. It read in clean letters, in every major language. Closed for renovation, do not disturb. A Vorath security chief stared at the plaque for a long time. Then he touched it. It was still warm, as if it had just been placed there minutes before. Panic started small and grew fast. The Krell sent scout swarms to every human colony within reach. The swarms flew fast, tiny insects carrying sensors. They reached the nearest human world, a nice blue-green planet called New Harmony, in less than a day. When they arrived, they found nothing. Cities stood empty, streets clean, buildings dark, no bodies, No fighting, no signs of evacuation panic. Food in storage lockers was still fresh. Lights were off, but power cells showed full charge. Every ship berth in orbit was empty. Every dock showed the same thing. Clean disconnection points where human vessels had simply undocked and left without a trace. The Krell swarms searched harder. They found one single beacon on the surface, buried under the main administration building. It was small, silver, and looped a message in 1,000 languages. Property of the United Terran Concord, no trespassers, violators, will be repossessed. The message repeated every 10 seconds. Polite, calm, final. Back at Apex Concord, the emergency plenary was called. Delegates rushed into the chamber. Voices overlapped in panic. The Vorath elders tried to keep order, but even their crystal voices shook a little. "Find the humans!" one Dominion general roared. "They must be hiding somewhere." Scanners swept the system. Nothing. No cloaked ships, no hidden bases, no signals. Then someone remembered the file Ambassador Voss had uploaded during the last session. A junior tech pulled it up on the main screen. The file opened. It was not long, just one line of text and a data packet. The text read, "For your records, do not delete." The packet expanded into a map. Not a normal galactic map. It showed the Milky Way from far outside, like a photo taken from between galaxies. A thin red line started at the edge of the human border worlds and stretched out, past the halo stars, past the intergalactic void, toward a distant cluster of galaxies that looked small and faint on every telescope humans had ever shared. Next to the line were numbers, coordinates, drive equations, power curves that made no sense to anyone in the room. An old Vorath scientist stared at the equations. His crystals dimmed slowly. "That drive," he whispered, "that is not warp. That is something else. They folded space in ways we said were impossible." The chamber went quiet again. A Krell swarm buzzed nervously. They left. All of them. Every ship. Every colony. Every person. No one answered. Outside the station, in the cold dark, a single human courier ship, long gone now, had jumped using the new drive. Its trail was already cold. No sensor could follow it. The assembly sat in the big chamber and looked at the empty human seats. For the first time in 2 million years, no one laughed. They just stared. And somewhere far beyond the edge of everything they knew, thousands of human ships flew in perfect silence toward a new home. The emergency plenary started at once. Delegates pushed into the main chamber faster than anyone had seen in centuries. Seats filled in minutes. The air felt thick with worry and anger. Lights seemed brighter, shadows sharper. Everyone talked at the same time. Voices overlapped in dozens of languages. Translators worked hard but could not keep up. A Dominion general stood first. His armored body made loud clanks as he moved. "This is war," he shouted. "Humans have sabotaged our gates. They hide weapons. We must strike their worlds now." A Krell swarm buzzed in agreement, lights flashing red. "They left traps. Our scouts found beacons that threaten us. We claim their empty planets before others do." Vorath elders tried to calm things. Falvren rose slowly. His crystals caught the light and sent small rainbows across the walls. "Order," he said in his deep voice. "We do not know the full truth yet. Panic helps no one." Smaller species whispered about collapse. Trade would stop without human fuel and parts. Borders would close. Old enemies would attack weak neighbors. The galaxy felt suddenly too big and too empty. Someone remembered the file from Ambassador Voss. A tech pulled it up on the giant central screen. The whole chamber watched as the simple text appeared first. "For your records, do not delete." Then the data packet opened. A hologram filled the space, above the platform. It was not fancy, no music, no effects. Just Elena Voss standing in what looked like a plain conference room. Behind her, a huge window showed stars. But the stars moved wrong. They stretched into long white lines, then snapped back, then stretched again. The motion was smooth and fast, much faster than any warp drive the assembly knew. Elena looked straight at the camera. Her face was calm, almost kind. She spoke slowly, so every translator could catch every word. For 200 years, humanity asked to be treated as equals. We came to this chamber with open hands. We shared our science, our food, our stories. We followed your rules, even when they hurt us. We waited for respect. You gave us jokes instead. You called us children. You took our seats away. You raised taxes to keep us small. You laughed when we spoke of fairness. We listened to every insult. We smiled through every meeting. We told ourselves that time would change things, that one day you would see us as friends. We were wrong. The galaxy is very large, but the part you control, the rules, the gates, the power, it has no room for us. You made that clear. So we are leaving. Not just your station, not just your worlds. We are leaving the galaxy you built. Our ships use a drive you do not understand. It does not bend space the way yours do. It finds paths between the stars that you cannot follow. Most of you will never reach where we are going. The distance is too great. The cold is too deep. Your ships would break long before you arrived. We are not running away in fear. We are choosing a better place. This is our last message to you. The coordinates are in the data packet. They are real. Anyone who wants may try to follow. We will not stop you, but we will not wait. Do not look for revenge. There is nothing left to take. Our colonies are empty. Our factories are silent. Our people are gone. The Milky Way belongs to you now. Take good care of it. Good luck. The hologram ended. The screen went dark. For many long seconds, no one moved. No one spoke. Even the Krell swarms stopped buzzing. The Dominion General's fists stayed raised, but did not come down. Then a soft voice broke the quiet. An old Lyran analyst with too many eyes stood up. The equations, she said. I ran them through our best models. They work. The energy cost is huge, but the math holds. They folded distance in layers we never thought possible. They left the galaxy in hours, not years. A murmur started. Delegates looked at each other. Some faces showed fear, some showed respect, a few showed shame. Thalvren spoke next. His voice was quieter than before. They did not destroy anything. They took only what was theirs. They cleaned every trace. They left no bodies, no wreckage, no warnings beyond this message. That takes planning. That takes discipline. A small furry delegate from the Veil world stood. They could have fought, she said. They had weapons. They had ships. They could have broken this station. They could have taken revenge. Instead, they walked away. The general snorted. Cowards. No, the Lyran said. Not cowards. They chose not to become what you fear. You called them dangerous. They showed us what real strength is. So they removed the danger. They removed themselves. More silence. Someone pulled up the coordinates again. The red line on the map stretched out past the edge of everything known. Past the last faint halo stars. Into the black nothing between galaxies. Toward distant smudges that telescopes had seen but never reached. A young Vorath tech whispered, "There are structures out there. Old scans show shapes. Huge, like rings around stars, like shells. But no one ever thought anything alive could build them." The chamber looked at the map. They imagined human ships, thousands of them, flying in lines toward that far place. Colony arcs, carrying cities worth of people. Factories turning raw matter into homes. Children playing under new suns. gardens growing under artificial skies. And the humans did not send one last angry message. They did not threaten. They did not beg. They just left. A Dominion warrior sat down heavily. "We laughed," he said. "We laughed at them." Thalvren looked at the empty human seats. The blue flags still hung there, untouched. No one had taken them down yet. "We all laughed," he said. The screen stayed dark. Outside the station, sensors swept the void again. Still no human signals, no trails, no echoes. The stars kept shining, cold and distant. Inside the chamber, delegates began to leave slowly. Some walked out angry. Some walked out afraid. Most walked out quiet. The emergency session ended without a vote. No one knew what to vote on anymore. In the corridors, whispers started. "They are gone. They took everything that mattered. They left us the ruins." And far beyond the last border, in a place no one could see, human voices spoke softly to each other. New stars waited. New rules would be written. No one would laugh at them there. Word spread fast after the message played. At first it moved through official channels, urgent memos, closed meetings, secure lines. Then it leaked. Traders whispered in docking bays. Pilots talked in bars on neutral stations. News feeds on border worlds picked it up within hours. By the next standard day, every corner of the galaxy knew. The humans were gone. Not dead, not beaten, gone. Panic came next. On trade hubs near the core, prices jumped. Fuel doubled in a day. Spare parts for human-made engines became impossible to find. Merchants who relied on human grain shipments stared at empty cargo holds. Factories that used human-designed tools slowed to a crawl because no one knew how to fix the strange little quirks without the original manuals. Whole sectors felt the hole where humans used to be. Some species moved fast to fill the empty space. The Dominion acted first. Their heavy fleets turned toward the nearest abandoned human shipyards. These were big orbital factories in the neutral zone between old borders, places where humans built colony arcs and repair docks for everyone. The Dominion general in charge smiled under his helmet. "Easy pickings," he said. "We take the yards, we take the tech, we take the power." His ships arrived in formation. Battle cruisers, troop carriers, boarding pods. They hailed the yards. No answer. Sensors showed the structures quiet. No weapons hot, no shields up, just drifting lights on emergency power. Boarding teams went in. They moved through wide corridors lined with tool racks and half-finished hulls. Everything looked ready to use. Then the first team reached the central control room. A small red light blinked on the main console. It had not been blinking before. The team leader reached to touch it. The yard vanished in a clean white flash. No explosion that shook nearby ships. Just a perfect sphere of light that ate the entire structure in less than a second, then faded to nothing. When the flash cleared, only empty space remained. Not one bolt, not one scrap of metal. The Dominion lost 3 full battle groups and 12,000 crew in that single blink. Similar flashes happened at every human shipyard the Dominion tried to claim. One after another, silent, precise, gone. The Krell moved slower, but in bigger numbers. Hive fleets, millions of small attack craft linked by thought, swarmed toward human border worlds. They wanted the planets, fertile soil, clean water, cities already built, easy conquest. They reached New Harmony first. The planet looked perfect from orbit. Blue oceans, green forests, white clouds. Cities stood tall with no damage. No defensive batteries fired. No shields blocked their landing. The first wave touched down in the capital plaza. Thousands of Krell forms poured out, crawling, flying, digging. They expected resistance. They found silence. Streets were swept clean, buildings empty. Power still flowed to streetlights, but no one walked under them. Food stores had fresh fruit that had not rotted. Water ran clear from taps. But every single living thing that belonged to humans was missing. In the main government building, they found another beacon. Silver cylinder, waist high. It played the same message in every language the Krell knew. Calm and polite. Property of the United Terran Concord. No trespassers. Violators will be repossessed. A Krell commander ordered the beacon destroyed. A disruptor beam hit it. The ground under the building opened like a flower. A hidden vault rose, smooth black sphere 10 meters wide. It hummed once, soft and low. Then it released a pulse. Every Krell form on the surface froze. Their electric links snapped. Minds went dark. Bodies dropped like cut strings. The pulse spread outward in a perfect circle. It reached the edge of the city and stopped. Beyond that line, nothing happened. Inside, millions of Krell lay still. Not dead, just empty. Minds wiped clean of memory and purpose. Orbiting hive ships felt the break. Panic rippled through the collective. They pulled back fast. The planet stayed quiet below them. Beautiful, empty, guarded by something no one could see. Other worlds told the same story. On some, soil turned barren the moment ownership changed hands. Microbes that humans had engineered for farming died in waves. Fields became dust overnight. On others, automated defenses woke up. Small drones no bigger than insects that swarmed anything that tried to settle. They did not kill. They herded. They pushed intruders back to their ships with precise shocks until the trespassers fled. The Vorath watched it all from their ancient home system. They did not rush to claim anything. Their elders gathered in a crystal hall that had stood for 1,000,000 years. Light passed through their bodies and made patterns on the walls. One elder spoke, "We pushed them too far." Another answered, "We feared their energy, their quick minds, their habit of breaking rules to win." A third said, softer, "They could have broken us. They had the weapons, they had the anger. Instead they chose silence, they chose distance." Thalvren stood among them. His crystals had dimmed since the message played. "They saw what we would make them become," he said. "Monsters like the ones we feared. So they left before that happened. They saved themselves, and they saved us from fighting them." The elders looked at the star map on the wall. The red lines still showed where the humans had gone, out into the deep black, toward places too far to reach. No one spoke for a long time. Outside the hall, younger Vorath asked questions. Will they come back? Did we win? What happens now? The elders had no answers. Trade slowed. Borders closed. Old alliances cracked. Species that depended on human tech or food began to starve or fight. Small wars started over the scraps left behind. Fleets clashed for control of empty stations. Planets changed hands in bloody takeovers. The assemblies still met. The chamber felt bigger now. Empty seats stayed empty. Human flags were finally taken down, folded, stored away. No one wanted to look at them. Years passed. Telescopes pointed outward more often. Deep scans caught faint signs, strange heat patterns in the void, regular flashes that looked like construction lights, shadows of huge shapes moving against distant galaxies. No one sent a ship to check. No one dared. The galaxy kept turning, but it felt smaller, heavier. And in the quiet moments, when delegates sat alone, they sometimes remembered the laughter. They remembered how loud it had been. They remembered how short it lasted. Decades passed slowly after the humans vanished. At first the galaxy tried to pretend nothing had changed. Ships still flew. Stars still burned. Meetings still happened in the big chamber on Apex Concord. But the pretending grew harder every year. The assembly became smaller. Old species died out or split into smaller groups. Young species rose, but they had less power and less trust. Seats that once held thousands, now held hundreds, then dozens, then fewer. The crystal halls echoed more than they used to. Lights stayed on in empty sections because no one bothered to turn them off. Trade routes that once hummed with constant traffic grew quiet. Human freighters used to carry cheap metals, fast engines, fresh food, and clever machines across the arms. Without them, prices rose. Shortages appeared. Planets that grew too much grain had no buyers. Planets that needed grain had no sellers. Wars started over old resources: water, rare elements, stable orbits. Fleets clashed in places that had known peace for centuries. The great megastructures suffered most. Apex Concord itself began to age. Its outer rings developed small cracks from micrometeors no one repaired. Air recyclers coughed more often. Power flickered in distant corridors. Maintenance drones ran out of spare parts, many of them human-made, and no one knew how to build new ones the same way. The station still turned, still shone, but it felt tired. On border worlds, people told stories about the humans. Some said they had died in the void. Others said they built secret empires out there. Children drew pictures of ships disappearing into black space. Parents told them not to ask too many questions. The stories always ended the same way. The humans left because someone laughed at them. Deep space telescopes pointed outward more each year. Scientists from every remaining species gathered data in silence. They saw strange things. Faint infrared glows appeared in the intergalactic void, steady heat from places that should have been cold forever. Regular pulses of light, like beacons or engines firing in patterns too perfect to be natural. Shadows moved against distant galaxy clusters, huge shapes that blocked starlight for seconds at a time. The shapes looked round or ring-shaped, or like shells wrapped around entire star systems. One Vorath astronomer spent her whole life watching those signals. On her last day, old and dim, she spoke to a young student. They did not just leave, she said. They built Dyson swarms the size of small galaxies, artificial suns in neat rows, streams of matter pulled from dead stars and turned into cities. They harvest energy on scales we cannot even dream. And they do it quietly. No broadcasts, no boasts, just work. The student asked, "Do you think they are happy?" The old Vorath looked at the screen one more time. "I think they are free. No one ever sent a probe toward those coordinates. The journey was too long, the cold too deep, the risk too high. Even the boldest fleets turned back after crossing the halo stars. Engines failed, minds broke under the endless black. Ships came home empty, or did not come home at all. The assembly still met every standard year. Fewer voices spoke now, fewer arguments happened. They talked about repairs, about food rations, about keeping the old gates running a little longer. They avoided the empty section where the human seats used to be. The blue flags had been taken down long ago, but the metal frames stayed bolted to the floor. No one wanted to remove them. One day a new delegate, a young creature from a rising species, asked the question everyone avoided. Why did the humans leave? The chamber went quiet. Eyes turned to the oldest one still alive. An ancient Krell form, now just a small cloud of tired insects, floated forward. His lights were faint. "Because we laughed," he said. A Dominion elder, armor worn thin, nodded slowly. "We called them children. We took their voice. We raised walls. We laughed when they asked for a place." Thalvren was gone now, his crystals scattered to dust centuries before. But another Vorath elder spoke in his place. "We feared their fire, their speed, their way of breaking rules to survive. We thought if we kept them small, we would stay safe. Instead, we made them choose between becoming monsters or becoming nothing to us. They chose nothing." The young delegate looked at the empty seats. Could we call them back? No one answered right away. Then the old Krell said, very softly, "They left us the coordinates. They left the door open. If we ever grow wise enough to walk through it, without laughing, without demanding, without fear, maybe they would answer." But no one moved to try. The silence that followed was heavier than any speech. It settled over the chamber like dust. Delegates looked at each other. Some felt shame. Some felt regret. Most felt only the weight of time. Outside, the galaxy turned on. Stars died. New ones were born. Planets cooled. Life found ways. But the old order never came back. The humans never returned. Far beyond the edge, under strange new skies, their descendants looked at old records sometimes. They saw videos of the assembly chamber. They heard the laughter. They saw Ambassador Voss walk out without anger. They saw the message she left behind. And they smiled, small, quiet smiles. They did not hate the galaxy they left. They simply did not need it anymore. Their cities floated between stars. Their gardens grew under light they made themselves. Their children learned history, not as a warning, but as a story about what happens when people forget to listen. No one laughed at them there. No one ever would. And in the long quiet between galaxies, the Milky Way became a small, fading memory. A place once loud with voices, now soft with silence.